If you follow me on social media, you'll know that I'm what you might call outspoken about these issues. I'm very intentional about how I use social media and the affordances and limitations of each of the platforms. For instance, long before I was on Twitter, I started writing on Facebook and found it a reasonable space to express developing ideas. I quickly learned which kind of posts to share publicly and which to share only with my friends, particularly when my public followers began leaning more Indian and Hindu. My friends are quite diverse in background and mostly American. I write very differently for both audiences. I also find Facebook to be a place where people seem more open to reflection and sharing emergent thought. It's a more compassionate space than Twitter. Twitter loves and rewards snark, humor, and quippy analyses. It's not a generous space per se. I sometimes experiment with ideas on Twitter to see how people respond to prompts and ideas. I practice analysis on there. Sometimes those ideas turn into longer form essays as I learn from responses on how I can better communicate. I'm always paying attention to how effective my communication is. I got onto Instagram after some of my younger friends, Hindu American college students, encouraged me to use the platform. I find it enjoyable to use that platform to express ideas more creatively, using images and graphic representations in addition to text. And finally, I blog on Medium. Since I am an academic, this is not in journal writing form, but are more well-researched essays with citations. However, they're written for a well-read public audience. Some of my writing on Medium has been picked up by mainstream Medium journals, and I've learned to frame my writing so that even non-Hindus who don't know much about Hindus or Hinduphobia are intrigued by my analytical methods of framing. For instance, I'll talk about an issue related to Hinduism, but use codes that we use in American educational spaces. This is how I enter mainstream educational discourse. Separate from that is the academic writing I do, my dissertation, articles, chapters, books that are held to a very different standard with different audiences and purposes in mind. As I think about writing my first book, which I'm doing, I'm thinking about where I might locate it as a trade book in education, as a hybrid academic public book, something that is legible to a well-read general public that can also be used in academia, or as a book that's purely for public consumption. Where I am writing, my target audience, the purpose of the writing, these three things determine the voice I use in my writing. For instance, if I'm writing on Facebook about an experience I have had with being attacked for speaking out about Hinduphobia, and my goal is to increase empathy for our community in general through my experience, I use certain language that speaks about the impact of this rhetoric on mental health, etc. If I'm looking to educate people about how pernicious these attacks are, I will unpack what is being said with great precision and not necessarily speak as much about the emotional impact. If, however, I'm writing an academic article theorizing a dynamic that animates Hinduphobia, I may write with a scholar from a different discipline so that I'm not using language or theories that are too specific to education, which is my discipline. However, if I'm writing about Hinduphobia in American public schools, I might write alone. Or if I'm writing a critique of how social justice in education has roots in Christian liberation theory, I might write with ed scholars from other religions because of the perspectives we offer and because of the optics.